Have you ever felt it? That quiet, gnawing suspicion in the dead of night when all the noise of the world finally fades away. The suspicion that this grand chase, this relentless, breathless pursuit of happiness is a rigged game. You follow all the rules. You tick all the boxes. The career, the relationships, the positivity, the mindfulness. You smile when you're supposed to smile. You want what you're supposed to want. And yet, an emptiness echoes back. A hollowness in the center of your chest where that promised permanent joy is supposed to reside. You feel like a ghost haunting the ruins of a promise whispered to you since birth, that the goal of life is to be happy. What if that promise wasn't just a gentle misguidance? What if it was a deliberate lie, a gilded cage built to keep you small, to keep you docile, to keep you from ever discovering the terrifying, magnificent power you truly possess? You have felt this betrayal, this profound sense of being cheated by life itself. You thought the problem was you, but the problem is the promise. And one man, a man who stared so deeply into the abyss that it stared back and recognized him as its own, understood this better than anyone. It is time to unravel the great deception. It is time to listen to Friedrich Nietzsche. To understand Nietzsche, you must first forget what you think you know about philosophy. This is not a gentle stroll through academic gardens. This is a descent into a storm. Nietzsche wasn't a man who offered comfort. He offered a hammer to shatter the idols we hold so dear, and the most sacred idol of the modern world is happiness. He wrote, "What is happiness? The feeling that power increases, that a resistance is overcome." Read that again. Not comfort, not security, not peace. Power. The feeling of overcoming. For Nietzsche, life wasn't about reaching a serene destination called happiness. It was about the process, the struggle, the eternal becoming. He called this fundamental drive the will to power. This isn't the brutish desire to dominate others, as it's often misconstrued. It is the intrinsic, unquenchable thirst within every living thing to expand, to grow, to express its strength, to overcome its own limitations. A seed cracking through concrete is the will to power. An artist wrestling with a blank canvas until a masterpiece is born is the will to power. You dragging yourself out of bed on a day when despair feels like gravity is the will to power. Nietzsche saw two paths for humanity, the path of the last man and the path of the Übermensch, or overman. The last man is the ultimate product of our modern obsession. He seeks only comfort and security. He blinks, content in his small, painless world. He has his little poison for the day and his little poison for the night. He calls this pathetic contentment happiness. He avoids all risk, all pain, all challenge, and in doing so he avoids all meaning. He is a creature to be pitied, a dead end for humanity. Then there is the Übermensch. This is not a Superman in a cape. It is the human who overcomes himself, the one who rejects the pre-packaged values and morals handed down by society, what Nietzsche called slave morality. This morality, he argued, was designed by the weak to restrain the strong, labeling everything that is powerful, ambitious, and life-affirming as evil, while praising meekness, humility, and suffering as good. The pursuit of happiness in this context is the ultimate slave virtue. It keeps you focused on a pleasant reward so you never question the chains. The Übermensch, instead, creates his own values, defines his own good and evil, and embraces the totality of life, not just its pleasantries. He finds his purpose not in being happy, but in the glorious struggle of becoming who he is. This vision doesn't just question your happiness, it puts it on trial for its life. So where does this specific, modern pain come from? This feeling of being a failure for not being happy enough. The root is buried in the very soil of our culture. It's the chasm between the illusion we are sold and the reality we experience. The illusion is a Hollywood movie. It's a state of perpetual bliss, a life without negative emotions. It's the final scene where the hero rides off into the sunset, and we assume they are happy ever after. We are told that sadness, anger, and anxiety are anomalies, bugs in the system that need to be fixed with therapy, with medication, with a new car, a new relationship, a 10-step program. We are taught to fear our own pain, to numb it, to run from it. But reality is not a Hollywood movie. Reality is cyclical. It is triumph and disaster. It is joy and profound, gut-wrenching sorrow. It is connection and soul-crushing loneliness. The human experience is a symphony, and it requires the dark, resonant notes of the cello just as much as the bright trills of the flute. To demand only the happy notes is to demand a terrible, monotonous, and ultimately meaningless song. Think about it. The hollow victory of achieving a goal you thought would solve everything. You get the promotion, and after a week, the anxiety returns. You buy the dream house, and find yourself feeling just as empty in its beautiful, silent rooms. The pain comes from this constant failure to sustain the unsustainable. You are a human being, not a theme park. You were not designed for constant, placid contentment. This chase turns you into a frantic consumer, not just of things, but of experiences. You binge-watch shows to distract yourself. You chase the high of travel, only to find you brought the same empty person with you to a different location. You curate a life on social media, a gallery of perfect moments, while the real you sits behind the screen feeling like a fraud. This is the root of the pain. You are judging your complex, messy, beautiful, tragic human reality against a commercial, plastic, impossible fantasy. And in that judgment, you will always be found wanting. The illusion is a masterfully crafted prison. It's a lie whispered so often it has become the truth. And the lie is this: happiness is a destination. It is something outside of you that you must acquire. This belief system is the engine of our society. It is the fuel for consumerism. Buy this and you will be happy. It is the foundation of modern politics. Vote for me and I will create a society where you can be happy. It is the silent promise of our education system. Get these grades, get this degree, and you will secure a life of happiness. But why? Why does society need you to believe this lie? Because a populace chasing a phantom is a populace that is easy to control. A man who believes happiness is found in a new watch will work a job he hates to buy it. A woman who believes happiness is found in social validation will conform to any trend to get it. People who are constantly looking outside of themselves for fulfillment will never look inside themselves for power. They will never question the system itself. They will only blame themselves for failing to win the game. The society of the last man, the one Nietzsche feared, does not want creators, rebels, or free spirits. It wants good workers and good consumers. It wants you to stay on the treadmill, forever reaching for a carrot you can never quite catch. Because the moment you step off, the moment you realize the carrot is a mirage, you become dangerous. You become unpredictable. You start asking inconvenient questions. The most insidious part of this illusion is that it convinces you that your suffering is meaningless. If the goal is happiness, then any pain along the way is simply a roadblock, a pointless deviation. It is something to be eliminated, not understood, and so you are robbed of life's greatest teacher. You are taught to discard the very experiences that could forge you into something more, something stronger. You are kept in a state of perpetual immaturity, always a child reaching for candy, never an adult capable of digesting the hard bread of reality. This is the illusion that binds you, the belief that your pain is your enemy. Now we turn from the lie and face the terrible, liberating truth. Nietzsche holds up a mirror not to your smiling face, but to your scarred soul. And he tells you that this is where the real value lies. The philosophical truth is this: the purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to live so fully, so intensely, that you are willing to say yes to it all, the triumphs and the deepest despair, the love and the most brutal heartbreaks, the creation and the destruction. Nietzsche gave this concept a name: amor fati, the love of fate. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, he wrote. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. This is the ultimate rebellion, to not just tolerate your suffering, but to love it. Why? Because your suffering, your challenges, your pain, they are the chisel that sculpts you. Comfort makes you soft. Ease makes you weak. It is resistance that builds strength. It is the weight that forges muscle. It is the storm that teaches the oak tree to grow deeper roots. Your moments of greatest growth did not come from placid contentment. They came from crisis. They came from the ashes of failure. They came when your heart was broken open. They came when you faced a fear that you thought would annihilate you and you survived. That feeling on the other side of survival, that is not the bland, smiling face of happiness. It is the fierce, triumphant grin of power, the power of self-overcoming. So what do you do instead of chasing happiness? You chase growth. You actively seek out challenges that push you to your limits. You choose the path of most resistance, not because you are a masochist, but because you are an artist, and the material you are sculpting is yourself. You stop asking, will this make me happy? And you start asking, will this make me stronger? Will this make me deeper? Will this make me more of who I am? This is the truth that shatters the prison. Your pain is not a bug, it is a feature. It is not a punishment, it is an opportunity. To hear this truth is one thing, to accept it is another. And this is where the real war begins. Not out there, in the world, but in here, inside you. A violent civil war of the soul. One part of you, the part that has been conditioned since birth, will scream in protest. It will cling to the dream of happiness, like a drowning man to a piece of driftwood. It will call this new philosophy bleak, nihilistic, and cruel. It wants the comfort of the lie. It wants the safety of the cage. It will point to all your wounds and say, "You want me to love this? The betrayal, the loss, the failure? This is madness. This is the voice of the last man within you begging for his little poison of comfort." But another part of you, a deeper, older part, will stir. The part of you that has always known something was wrong. The part that has felt the hollowness of easy victories. The part of you that has, in its darkest moments, felt a strange sense of pride in its own resilience. This is the whisper of the Übermensch. It recognizes the ring of truth in Nietzsche's words. It knows that fire forges steel. This conflict is terrifying. It feels like standing on a precipice, with the familiar world crumbling behind you and only a dark abyss ahead. To let go of the pursuit of happiness feels like letting go of hope itself. It can lead to a period of profound disorientation, a dark night of the soul. You may feel lost, angry, and more alone than ever. You are dismantling the very foundation of your reality, and the demolition is a brutal process. But this is the sacred battle, this is the crucible. Every great transformation is preceded by chaos. You are a snake shedding its skin. It is a painful, vulnerable process. But it is necessary if you are to grow. You must wrestle with these two opposing forces within you. You must feel the full weight of the despair that comes from abandoning a lifelong dream. And it is only by walking through that fire, by enduring that conflict, that you can be reborn from the ashes, no longer a seeker of happiness, but a creator of meaning. When the dust of the internal conflict settles, what is left? A ruin? No, a foundation. Now the reconstruction begins. And the tool is the philosophy that broke you down in the first place. Letting go of the chase for happiness is the ultimate liberation. Suddenly, you are free. Free from the crushing weight of expectation. Free from the constant exhausting performance of being okay. Free from the guilt of your own sadness. You no longer have to apologize for your scars. You can wear them as medals. They are evidence that you have lived, that you have fought, and that you have endured. So how do you rebuild? You start by changing your relationship with your own life. You practice amor fati not as a lofty intellectual concept, but as a daily discipline. When a challenge arises, you do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" You ask, "Why is this happening for me? What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger?" You begin to see life not as a series of events to be judged as good or bad, but as a curriculum designed for your own growth. You stop running from discomfort. Instead, you lean into it. You take on the project that terrifies you. You have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. You learn the skill that seems impossible. You embrace the discipline of physical hardship. You find the meaning not in the outcome, but in the effort. You discover a new kind of joy, not the placid joy of comfort, but the fierce, electric joy of expanding your own limits. The joy of the climber who reaches the summit, exhausted and bruised, but looking out over the world from a height she earned with her own strength. This is the path to becoming the Übermensch of your own life. You are no longer a piece of driftwood being tossed about by the waves of fortune, hoping to wash up on the shores of happiness. You are the builder of the ship, the captain of the soul, and you steer directly into the heart of the storm, knowing that the storm itself is what will make you a master sailor. You are a creator, and what you create is a life so rich with meaning that the question of whether or not it is happy becomes utterly irrelevant. So we return to the quiet of the night, to that gnawing suspicion. But now, it is not a source of anxiety, but a source of power. The great cosmic joke is not on you. The joke is on the world that tried to sell you a counterfeit version of life. The promise of happiness was a lullaby meant to keep your inner giant asleep. But now, it begins to stir. You understand now that the goal was never to arrive at a sunny, peaceful harbor. The goal was to become a vessel strong enough to navigate the entire chaotic, magnificent ocean of existence, to taste its salt, to feel its fury, to witness its serene calms, and to love it all, to love the entire voyage. A life of meaning is not built from a foundation of pleasant moments, but from the beautiful ruins of your hardest battles, mortared together with the gold of your own resilience. You have been taught to fear the abyss, but Nietzsche beckons you to its edge, and he whispers, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." The world told you this was a warning. It is not. It is an invitation to find the divine monster within you, the part that is strong enough to bear the weight of a meaningful life. So I will leave you with this question, a question that should echo in the deepest chambers of your soul. What if the greatest tragedy of your life wasn't the pain you've endured, but the strength you've refused to claim from it? What will you build from the beautiful, sacred ruins of your own heart? If this video touched something inside of you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Comment below with what thought struck you the most. We'll see you in the next shadow.